Elizabeth Warren sent out an email to her supporters. You can read the entire thing if you want, but she is saying 6 more states are voting a week from today on March 10th. Can you chip in now as results are coming so we can get to work earning more votes and more delegates, indicating at least for tonight that she's still asking her supporters to give her money, which is not usually what you do when you're gonna turn around in a couple hours and drop out. So I know that we want to discuss, so bear in mind she's still raising money, and it's possible that she will end tonight still with fewer delegates than Pete Buttigieg.
Correct.
Yeah, he's beaten her in California in the early returns. I don't know whether
she was in second a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is like forget the whatever morality. None of that interests me anyway. But I don't know. It would help. An endorsement of Bernie would presumably help. It would be a nice news cycle win for him. I suspect her actual supporters are split. I mean, he'll get a bunch. He may get a slight majority of them, but a lot of them will go to Biden.
Yeah.
Also, the notion that they're all going to come to Bernie isn't true, but it would help him, I suspect, a little bit, and certainly the endorsement, the news cycle would, because she is seen as a serious grown-up figure, so that would be, I suspect, would generate news coverage, but she's obviously not ready to do it. It doesn't mean this won't change, because I mean, you can ask for money, but like, I mean, again, I gave her a little money. I don't really feel like giving her any more money. Like, that seems crazy.
Oh, does it? Does it seem crazy?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, come on, bounds of reason.
It's crazy. Yeah, I just can't imagine being in her position and asking people to give me money right now. I can't imagine it, but it's what she's doing.
Well, it's not really her, it's Team Warren, it says there.
Yeah, Team Warren did Warren a little dirty, in my opinion. I think they've given her a lot of bad political advice and strategic advice, but that's just me. I mean, remember, there was one point when she was the front runner and she was doing really well, and then she decided to reposition herself and move a little closer to the center, and I think that hurt her. But one thing that I do want to bring up quickly is I agree with you in that she built a coalition that is different from Bernie Sanders, right? So the professional managerial class finds her much more appealing than Bernie Sanders. Educated whites find her more appealing than Bernie Sanders. But there are some progressives that certainly would go to Bernie, and there are states here where I think Bernie could have won with Warren dropping out and endorsing him.
I mean, I part of my choice. I mean, obviously, if I didn't vote for her, I would have voted for Bernie. But my sense was, I want her to stay in. I want her to have a good day, and I didn't need to help Bernie. So I mean, but mostly it was just that I was like, I'm just going to vote for the candidate that I've liked best throughout this entire process, and she's still running, so I'm going to vote for her. But yeah, I think she, I didn't find her turn to the center to be bad. I thought her execution of the turn to the center was horrible.
Okay,
right?
How? So I'm curious.
So it was incredibly transparent as a turn to the center. And I mean, one thing Bernie has that it'll be great, which is why I'm very anxious to see what kind of a turn a Bernie Sanders turn looks like, is that no candidate has his authenticity, none, right? So I would use that skill that he has, and I think he is wasting that skill to some extent on the repetition of the same things. He's got this, part of his thing is, where Bernie Sanders stands, right? So I don't know why he's not, I hope that he will use more of that, what he has inside, and she didn't have that as much. Nobody has it as much in this race, no one. He has, that's his thing, and I hope he uses it. But hers was, it was clunky, and it was again, it didn't feel genuine, and it felt, which meant it felt tactical, and nothing but tactical. And of course, if Bernie does it, it will also be tactical. But that's where political skill come in. It's not an accident the last 2 Democratic presidents were Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. These were incredibly gifted politicians. Not talking about policy, not that they had it. They had the thing that makes people believe what they're saying.
But that was one of the things that Cenk pointed out about Amy Klobuchar, that whether you agreed with her or not, he respected her position because she always was honest about where she stood on stuff.
Yeah,
she was very forthcoming.
She'd look you in the eye and be like, I'm gonna do nothing for you.
Yeah.
And you know what? I respect that.
You respect
because at least it's honest.
But with Elizabeth, you feel betrayed because at the beginning, she was so, she was like, I'm radical and it's okay to be radical. And then it was like the tail between her legs, and it was like, it's more important to win than to
see. But look, I'm jaded. I grew up around it. I cared about it from the time I was 8. You know, I think it's fine to want to win most, because I know who Bernie Sanders is. I know who Elizabeth Warren is. I think it is insane to think that Elizabeth Warren wouldn't be a progressive president.
Right.
She'd be terrific. And I thought she had a better chance of avoiding what we're about to have. Like if it were Warren and Biden, it wouldn't be as ugly, and it might just work itself out with actual votes, which would be great, right? So I don't care what she does to get elected, because I know I have a sense of the core of the person, what was completely escaped, what was missing on Buttigieg. Right.
But that's what you said. But what you said earlier was you're not the average person, and it is about how people feel.
No, I'm not average. Thank you.
But you just said that. Right. It's like the people who felt betrayed are not looking at it from the perspective of this is about a win. The people have watched this gross execution of our democracy and what is good in this country be just slaughtered before our very own eyes. So we're not going to align. Those people are not going to align themselves with somebody who they feel is also being disingenuous.
I think this is the crux of the issue and the crux of what this campaign is, what all campaigns are, and how I think this campaign is sort of, to extent, misunderstood. Like, it is not about policy. It is a little, but we're not voting for, we never have, ever, ever, ever. And I don't think that that's a sellout thing that's not just about feeling. Like when things are good, when you think like it's okay to know that person's on your side, right? And then like, because we're all in this minutia and everybody's got an opinion. I don't mean here, but I mean like everybody with a Twitter feed, everybody has become a pundit. I don't mean that there should be some school you go to, or that the ones who were before have earned it, but like, you know who people are.
Feel upward.
And it doesn't matter whether somebody says 4 years or 9 years for Medicare for all, because they're gonna have to get in and then they're gonna have to govern. And running for president and governing are completely different.
But that's just one of the things. So it's not just that. It's well, I think I can do it without taxing the middle class. Like I think that there were more than, if it was just one thing where you were like, oh, all right, she's trying to figure out a way to make this happen. She's gonna fool the dummies into following her, and then she's gonna trick them into doing this later. But then you just saw this whole, it was just an evolution, and I do think it's the people who are advising her, because
there was a sharp. Sorry to interrupt you, but like just to add some, evidence to that.
Yeah.
There was a sharp turn in the way she handled her campaign as soon as it was announced that literally hundreds of former Obama aides were supporting her, endorsing her, and some of them were working on her campaign.
Yeah, it became something else.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I just wanted to add that.
No. Yeah. That what I was just saying. That was what I was saying. It was like, it just felt uncharacteristic of her or what we thought, or who we thought she was. But then there are people who tweeting me and saying, remember, this is the lady who told y'all she was Native American. So don't act like she's all this pious woman who's, there were a lot of people that were coming for her, and I was defending her and all of this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Sorry, but I want to add something to that, because I didn't defend her. I thought that it was a really bad political instinct, especially to give in to Trump's framing and release this DNA test and be like, see, I am Native American. It's like, no, but you're really not. But the reason why I didn't go hard against her at that moment was because I know what it's like to grow up, with a family that tells you things, and you grow up believing things about yourself, your family, your culture. Like families tell each other like tall tales and stuff. Like we all know that happens. Like, oh, your great grandfather actually was, the top, I don't know, prince in like some random country that doesn't exist. I'm just making that up. But you get what I'm saying? People say all these like big things about their families, and I'm like, maybe her parents did tell her that. And maybe she genuinely did believe it, right? And I'm Armenian, Jake is Turkish. We were both, we grew up with different propaganda. Him more so for sure, but like, just know that. Like But no, after that, it became clear to me, like when she started to become dishonest.
Yeah.
And she started throwing jabs that were dishonest toward Bernie. That was when I was like, I can't.
Yeah, I wanted her to take on Bernie. I did, but she did it very poorly. There's no question.
And
she did it
dishonestly.
poorly. I mean, it hurt her it hurt her. But she would have. I think John thinks this too. Like outside of the, in some ways, this is the worst case scenario that has developed here. It's going to be, as Jenks, there's no stopping the terror campaign. And again, he would say, yeah, we're going to be the terrorists because they're carpet bombing with their napalm bombs. So but like it's going to be incredibly ugly and incredibly divisive. And because of the very thing that you guys argue about Bernie, that the media is against him and the establishment is going to come for him, and I was like, well, I don't want to have that scenario. Like nobody gets to be president, and I wanted one where the establishment got behind someone who I thought would be the most progressive president we ever had, and then we managed to avoid what is about to happen.
So I just don't want to let her off the hook that easily, because I read a lot of stuff from the First Nations people who feel like Elizabeth Warren owes them an apology and accountability for what she said, because a lot of white people have abused that talking point and used things that are designated for natives in America. So I do think she should be accountable for that. And I love, the fact that I've seen so many people of color that have been like rocking with Elizabeth Warren, telling me that I'm crazy because I'm with Bernie and Bernie is anti-reparations. But I was just like, one thing I will say is that I went back and I looked, because I am not a political pundit and I didn't go to law school. I went back and I researched Bernie myself. And one thing he has been is consistent.
Yep.
And that right there means the world to people who are tired of inconsistency.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.